Dustin Poirier is a UFC legend, maybe even an icon. But does that guarantee him a spot in the modern wing of the UFC Hall of Fame? Let's be clear though, he's technically already in the Hall of Fame. Poirier was the first recipient of the Forrest Griffin Community Award, which honors fighters for their charitable contributions and community impact. This is a man who sells hot sauce, fight gear, and anything else he can to raise money for good causes. And has had the likes of Conor McGregor and Khabib Nurmagomedov chip in too. Outside the cage, he's the man. But what about inside it? To get in, you have to have made significant contributions to the UFC and the sport of MMA, which is vague. In the pioneer wing, Randy Couture, Tito Ortiz and Ken Shamrock, Chuck Liddell, Anderson Silva, and almost everyone else either won a UFC title and defended it, or dominated multiple UFC tournaments that predate the modern era. Even the outliers like El Guapo, Bas Rutten, who never defended his UFC title, earned gold in other major organizations before they were absorbed into the promotion. The modern wing seems to have similar unwritten rules that involve those same championship requirements. You must win and defend a UFC title or tournament. You may have won a belt or tournament in another top promotion before challenging for a UFC title, or you can win a season of The Ultimate Fighter before snagging UFC gold, which you then don't have to defend. Those seem like the minimum barriers for entry, which is all bad news for Poirier. Dustin didn't compete in another major MMA promotion. He didn't win The Ultimate Fighter, and despite an incredible career, he never held an undisputed UFC world title. So what chance does he have? Enter Donald "Cowboy" Cerrone, UFC Hall of Fame class of 2023. This beloved gunslinger is the only Hall of Famer who has never won a UFC or WEC championship or tournament, despite multiple attempts. What he did have, though, was a mountain of records. The most knockdowns in UFC history, the most bouts and wins in UFC, Pride, WEC, Strikeforce history, and the most post-fight bonuses in UFC, WEC history. Again, no belts for the Cowboy, but still a Hall of Famer seemingly based on his legacy and entertainment value. This is all excellent news for Poirier, because the Diamond's resume may outshine the Cowboy's. As a former interim champion, Poirier got closer to gold than Cerrone did. Plus, he's a 3-time undisputed title challenger, a 2-time BMF title contender, and that's not to mention all his post-fight bonuses, or him having headlined 7 more pay-per-views than Cerrone. So the verdict is in. If Cowboy makes the cut due to his legacy and entertainment value, then Dustin Poirier is a sure thing. In the main event of UFC on ESPN 71, Tatsuro Taira got back on track in emphatic style by tapping out the late replacement fighter Hyun-Sung Park with a nasty face crank in round 2. Now the flyweight prospect wants his shot at gold, no matter who holds it. Taira dropped Park with heavy hands in round 1, but he couldn't get the finish. Early in round 2, he quickly scored a big takedown, took the back, and then cranked Park's jaw for the tap. Now he's back on track for the title, but who will be holding it? Currently in possession of the flyweight belt is the champ, Alexandre Pantoja, and the UFC hasn't confirmed his next challenger. The smart money is on Joshua Van, who could have the hands to steal gold, but Taira doesn't mind who holds the belt, as long as he gets the next shot. Is it Alexandre Pantoja? Is it Joshua Van? I want that. I want the winner, stated Taira of the upcoming title fight. But he added, my coach says Pantoja. There were no individual performance bonuses awarded at UFC on ESPN 71, but there were 2 Fight of the Nights. Those went to Chris Duncan and Mateusz Rebecki for their Fight of the Year contender, and Esteban Ribovics and Elvis Brenner for their 3-round war. In other news, former MMA star Conor McGregor says he wants to be the next president of Ireland, but only if he can change the rules. The ex-dual division UFC champ, who last week lost his appeal in a rape case brought by Nikita Hand, announced his new political intentions via social media, which could be the most Donald Trump sentence ever used to describe the Irishman. Then again, a comparison with Donald Trump isn't surprising. McGregor visited the White House in March to meet with the US president to discuss issues that McGregor feels the Irish people are facing. And what do you think those issues revolved around?
What is going on in Ireland is a travesty. Our government is the government of zero action with zero accountability. You know, our money is being spent on overseas issues that has nothing to do with the Irish people. The illegal immigration racket is running ravage on the country. There are rural towns in Ireland that have been overrun in one swoop, that have become a minority in one swoop. So issues need to be addressed, and the 40 million Irish Americans, as I said, need to hear this, because if not, there will be no place to come home and visit. You know, Ireland is at the cusp of, you know, potentially losing its Irishness, and I'm here to raise the issue and highlight it. You know, it's also St. Patrick's Day, so a little bit of celebrations for sure, and you know, a little bit of learning and listening to Mr. President Trump, whose work ethic is inspiring, and all that does to me is highlight the lack of work on my side.
Fact-checked lies aside, Irish law requires presidential hopefuls to secure 20 signatures from the 234 members of Parliament, or have the backing of 4 local authorities from a possible 31. After realizing he wouldn't get close to that, McGregor went online to say, "In light of this, I propose a petition advocating for a modification of the nomination process to allow my name be included on the ballot." Not to be included, he wrote, "be included." Meanwhile, Nikita Hand has filed a new civil action against Donald McGregor. Along with a couple he'd planned to call on as witnesses during his abandoned appeal, but whom he told to stand down under what were officially described as mysterious circumstances.
So that's it. That's what I'm here for.
Awesome. Thank you, Conor.
Thank you, guys. All right, God bless.
Bye, guys. We'll see you later. Good job.
And before Luke Rockhold makes his debut in yet another professional field of combat, the former UFC middleweight champion has announced that he won't be fighting in bare-knuckle boxing ever again. Bare-knuckle boxing is not a fight. I realized when I walked in there, I'm not losing my teeth without using everything I've worked for my whole life, said Rockhold. People are dumb. That's a dumb sport. Rockhold made his bare-knuckle boxing debut against Mike Perry at BFKC 41 in April of 2023, and it didn't go well for Rockhold. The face of Ralph Lauren Cologne lost via a second-round TKO when he decided he didn't want to be punched in the face anymore, at least not in bare-knuckle boxing. Rockhold didn't give up on fighting though. He last competed in April of 2025, scoring a TKO victory over Joe Schilling under Karate Combat rules. And he'll make his combat sports return this August when he faces former UFC fighter Darren Till under the Misfits boxing banner.
Thanks for watching, and remember, if you want more fight sports in your life, just hit the subscribe button.